Hello, this is Tony Hiller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about climate. This video discusses wildly fraudulent claims about summer heat from Climate Central. They have a web page predicting blistering hot future summers in the U.S. and list their predictions for several cities, shown with the red dots. One of the cities they made a prediction for is Omaha, Nebraska. Climate Central predicts that by the year 2100, summers in Omaha will be like South Texas, with an 11.01 degree rise in temperatures. Well, let's test that out by seeing what's actually happened in Omaha over the past century. Well, summer temperatures in Omaha peaked in 1934, and they've declined about 7 degrees since the 1930s. There were big peaks in the 1930s, big peaks in the 1950s, but generally recent summers have been quite cool, with many of the coolest summers coming since the year 2000. Not only has the average summer maximum temperature declined in Omaha over the past 80 years, but the frequency of hot days has too. The number of 90-degree days peaked in 1934 when they had 81 days over 90 degrees. There was another peak in the 1950s, but in recent years they've been averaging less than 20 90-degree days per year, and last year was a record low. The frequency of hot days has plummeted since the 1930s in Omaha, the exact opposite of Climate Central claims. Another city which Climate Central made a prediction for was Minneapolis, Minnesota. They said it will be like North Texas, with an 11.97 degree rise in temperatures. That's a very precise prediction. Let's see how it compares with actual data. Well, summer temperatures in Minneapolis peaked in 1988, the summer when James Hanston testified before Congress and predicted huge summer heat waves in subsequent decades. We haven't had another heat wave like that since then, and summer temperatures in Minneapolis are exactly the same as they were 80 years ago. There's no trend. Temperatures aren't going up, they're not going down. But the frequency of hot days has gone down. Minneapolis averaged about 15 90-degree days in the early 1940s, and in recent years they've been averaging less than 5. Last year was close to 0, near a record low, and they also peaked in 1988. So the Climate Central claims of increasing heat in Minneapolis are simply false. They have no basis in science. So we've looked at a couple of individual cities which Climate Central made forecasts for. In both of them, their predictions were the exact opposite of what the data indicates. But what about for the entire U.S.? Well, NOAA maintains records for 1,200 stations across the country known as the U.S. Historical Climatology Network. That's the official U.S. temperature record. For those stations, the frequency of hot days peaked in the 1930s and have dropped about 30% since then to near record lows. In 1936, more than 15% of days were over 90 degrees. And recently, we've been averaging less than 9%. U.S. summers are getting cooler, really much cooler. Climate Central is attempting to scare people about future summer heat in the U.S. with very precise predictions down to 1/100th of a degree for a huge increase in summer heat. But the actual data shows a large decrease in summer heat in the U.S. Their predictions for heat are flat out fraud, and they have no basis in science. They're just propaganda. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science for a long time.